Hold up. Wait. We want to thank you for listening to the Farms Not Farms podcast presented by Gorilla Healer by giving you a 20% off discount code to gorillahealer.org. Use code SEASON2 when you check out at gorillahealer.org off any item not currently on sale. And also be sure to check out buildthesoil.com, our Farms Not Farms podcast sponsor, for all of your organic soil amendment needs. BuildTheSoil.com, the internet's #1 spot for your organic soil amendments. Back to the podcast.
Good sir.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Super blessed, thank God. Great
That's
to
an
see you.
amazing it reminds me of like or I don't know what's around your neck, but it reminds me of like a talit, like what we wear in Judaism.
Yeah, man, it does kind of look like a talus a little bit. It's not Jewish though. I am.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love everything about what you're wearing right now. It's awesome.
Thanks so much. We'll have a little Vince White. Shout out to Vanna White. We have a hemp hat going on here from Gorham Brothers.
Wow.
And that's about all I'm going to talk about right now.
Nice. Well, yeah, I really appreciate you having me and doing everything that you do to raise awareness about medical cannabis. We really there needs to be more out there helping raise awareness. Even with all the options, there still needs to be more.
From your mouth to God's ears. You know, I can say the same to you. You know, I've optimized the word likewise to lovewise. So I'll say lovewise, Mr. Kander, and you do so much to impress me, and your passion. You know, I always say you're the only person that will love what you love the way you love it. And truly, we benefit from that magic that we all have when we feel called to share it. And in the case of you, you know, I got to experience you at, I believe it was some sort of cannabis medical convention, and just hearing you talk and seeing your drive and your glow for your passion about this plant and its benefits and applicable uses in today's, you know, world. I'm just really grateful to be able to have you on the show today and just to know that you exist. So I salute you, and I'd love to open up a window into who you are, what you do, what you love, and what you're all about. So if you'd be so kind to introduce yourself for our viewers, that would be great.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for those kind words. I hope I can live up to your observations. But yeah, I'm basically just someone who was born in Baltimore, Maryland, here in the United States, and grew up in Reisterstown, a suburb of Baltimore, going to school and eventually going to college within Maryland at the University of Maryland College Park. And like many people, I was introduced to cannabis in high school, but very quickly got interested in the scientific aspects of it. But yeah, in terms of medical cannabis, my journey really took off on March 3rd, 2008, when I saw the documentary Run from the Cure by Rick Simpson, and everything in it resonated with me. I really believed that the people that he featured, it all made sense, and then the research backed everything up. So I just jumped with both feet in and started focusing almost entirely on that aspect of medical cannabis, researching or looking into, you know, other testimonials and other scientific studies, and basically did that for several years at a pretty small scale. Then the next big thing was the Drug Policy Reform Conference in 2013, where I wrote a book of sorts, the comprehensive report on the Cannabis Extract Movement, so that I would have something physical to share with people, and collected everything that I'd been studying over the past several years, all the most relevant science and patient case reports, and just started sharing as much as possible. And then basically through connections that I made at that conference and others that I visited, I was able to eventually begin speaking at conferences. My first one was in Australia in 2014, and then I was able to do about one a year until 2020. so yeah, it was just great to be able to get more opportunities to share that information. And then in 2015, I published Cannabis for the Treatment of Cancer, which was the book that was focused entirely on cancer. And I've really just been continuing to try to promote that however possible. Um, and yeah, it's been a long, hard grind, but there's been a lot of progress in the science and the patient case reports, and I'm just hopeful that in the next year or two there'll really be the kind of global attention that CBD for epilepsy has received. I think that there's going to be a similar, if not much greater level for cannabis and cancer as a whole. So I've just been trying to fight for that however I can in my own small way, and I still have hope that it's going to explode soon. Just got to keep fighting.
Well, thank you. You know, your drive saves lives, because when we put a light into a dark hallway called, you know, I'm out of options, it's really important that we get to see and just even a glimmer of hope, you know, and knowing what we know, being in the position that we're in, to have at this point the unique experience of witnessing or observing success stories with cannabis being administered in so many different scenarios, you know. All we can do, I mean, that's why I'm doing this, you know. My life took a completely different turn once I saw it work. How
Mhm.
does anything else matter as much, you know? And for me, you know, making music and rapping and throwing concerts did not matter as much as sharing the information on how to help save a life, you know. And for you specifically, you know, we share we share this this forum, if you will, of people who are dedicating our lives to learning and to sharing what we're learning about how to you know, about the potentials of applying it to life. And for me, it's like, you know, when we're in pain, it doesn't matter who we are or where we are, we want to get out of it immediately. And so it's important that we have options. And so safe access to the information is the first step to being able to understand what is out there for us, rather than jumping through a maze to the end of the world and the end of time to figure out how to help ourselves or somebody we love. So thank you for putting out books on, you know, filled with information on the research that you've been reading. And would you feel comfortable talking at all about what you've learned, or why you're dedicating your life to this? I mean, obviously, I imagine you're sharing a bit of the sentiment that once you saw it work, it's tough to really go in another direction. So, from your own mouth, what are you up to? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very like what you were just discussing. When you see it work and it's something so profound, something that can actually help save lives and fight cancer is just so remarkable. And then also the fact that it is prohibited throughout so much of the world. The fact that people don't even have this option legally in many cases, or even where legal, it's financially prohibitive. It's something that especially needs to be fought for, because it's something that offers real hope that people can't get. So it's at the most fundamental level, something that needs to be fought for. But yeah, people have often said, there's all kinds of alternative cancer treatments or other causes that can be fought for. Why this? And I mean, a couple of things. One, you got to choose your lane in life. You can't fight for everything. You have a limited bandwidth. But two, I mean, there really is something special to this. I mean, the fact that the science in terms of other alternative cancer therapies, there really is a deeper level to this, with the level of the science showing how that not only do the phytocannabinoids kill cancer cells, but our own endocannabinoids are killing cancer cells. And you have the whole epilepsy thing where CBD is working against seizure conditions that literally no other pharmaceuticals have worked against. I mean, that alone is a huge medical breakthrough that a lot of people like just can't fathom that, to modulate the brain, the most complex structure in the universe, to that extent is amazing. So I mean, this really is a special medicine, because of the way that it interacts with the endocannabinoid system. And I just what I deeply believe, that there's something special to it, and I think it's going to change the world, and it just needs to be accelerated. I have no doubt it's going to happen. It's just a matter of how quickly it's going to happen, and every day that it's delayed, there's just so much suffering. Whatever can be done to accelerate this is critical, and that's just what I want to do.
It's true, people who are being treated conventionally and still suffering, versus people who are able to utilize cannabis in a way that is effectively helping them not have to take debilitating medications, including ones especially for epilepsy that gives you the risk of legitimately going blind, and or having so many more, a myriad of other issues that you might have to take a number of other pills for, and none of them, very few of these treatments, these conventional treatments, actually, well, let's not blanket anything. Let's just say that a lot of the medications that I'm familiar with are not helping the body operate in an optimal form. It's generally helping raise, let's say for seizures, generally helping raise the threshold for stress to happen without the brain triggering a seizure. So ultimately it's calming the person down a whole lot in a lot of ways. And this can affect the digestive system, so many other things. And so when we're talking about the endocannabinoid system, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's where I wanted to go next. We're talking about how the body regulates these major systems, like our immune system, our neurological system, our digestive system. So based on your understanding, for somebody who's coming to this that doesn't know why cannabis has the ability to work, and or you hear cannabis can help heal cancer. Well, what do I smoke a joint? I haven't heard of that before. Well, in my experience, the answer to that is no. And so you are learning so much that obviously somebody could read some of your books and learn a lot more from. Though, what do you have to say to to the person that wants to understand why cannabis has the ability to work, what the endocannabinoid system does in perhaps a digestible format?
Of course. So yeah, and you touched on it, how the endocannabinoid system is involved in homeostasis, maintaining balance in most major body systems, like you said, digestive, immune system, neurological system. So for example, like when you're really stressed out, your neurons are firing too quickly. You feel the physical effect of that excessive activation. And normally when that happens, the endocannabinoid system kicks in, produces endocannabinoids on demand that activate the cannabinoid receptors to bring things back into stability. So
Time
that
out.
mechanism
So endocannabinoid, you're saying the body produces it. Endo for endocannabinoid means endogenous, which means the body's actually producing cannabinoids in this way. Yeah.
Exactly. So the endocannabinoids are the cannabinoid molecules that our bodies produce, and their function is to link to the cannabinoid receptors, the receptors for the endocannabinoids, and they are expressed on cells throughout the entire body, the CB1 and CB2 receptors that link to the endocannabinoids. And in the same way, the phytocannabinoids also bind to these cannabinoid receptors, mimic the effects of the endocannabinoids. So when the endocannabinoid system is insufficient to maintain homeostasis, these phytocannabinoids can come in to bind to those receptors and take some of the weight off the endocannabinoids.
And phytocannabinoids is from something from a plant, correct?
Yes, which is mainly cannabis. There's other plants that have compounds with cannabinoid-like activity and that they interact with the cannabinoid receptors, but for chiefly phytocannabinoids means the classical cannabinoids like THC, like CBD from cannabis.
So while cannabis has been deemed illegal for well over 100 years throughout the world, ultimately we could be considered illegal since our body creates cannabinoids. And as I understand it, when our body is having a cannabinoid deficiency or not creating enough endocannabinoids, we have the ability to supplement our body with phytocannabinoids in order to adequately, in theory or hope, stimulate our endocannabinoid system in order to regulate these major systems to basically help heal us. Is that what we're learning?
Exactly. And another interesting thing is that in many disease states, including many cancers, it's not 100% a clean correlation, but in many conditions, the cannabinoid receptors in a disease state will upregulate. So the cells will express more cannabinoid receptors, which in many cases, the researchers posit is a way to help try to restore homeostasis by the cells expressing more receptors. It's like, hey, cannabinoids come in and activate this to restore balance. So the body is actually craving cannabinoids in this way, trying to become more receptive to them. And that's what is the case in many cancers, that they find that the cancer cells express more cannabinoid receptors than the healthy cells, and that when you apply cannabinoids to the cancer cells, they're more susceptible to the anti-cancer effects because there's more targets for the cannabinoids. So it actually, yeah, in many cases, it's a defense against disease that the body has evolved to do. When there needs to be more balance, the cannabinoid receptors get upregulated.
Sounds like an essential nutrient.
Yeah, it really is essential. And yeah, it's crazy that you can die from drinking too much water, but you can't die from consuming too much cannabinoids. So it's definitely pretty essential up there, and very safe on the level of an essential nutrient.
Yeah. Do in your understanding, do you know about cannabinoids protecting cells from free radicals?
I mean, well, it's definitely. I don't know about the direct antioxidant effect of endocannabinoids. I haven't seen much, but yeah, both THC and CBD are very well demonstrated to both have inherent powerful antioxidant effects. I think CBD has more been well demonstrated as an antioxidant, but THC definitely too has been found to be an antioxidant. Anyone can look at PubMed and find studies where those effects are shown in the context of various diseases.
Could
So
that
yeah,
be because we've had more availability or access to research CBD at this point?
um, I'm not sure, honestly. I think I'm not. It's. I mean, since at least a few studies have shown the antioxidant effects of THC, I mean, I just might not just know about as much about that particular aspect. But in general, I've seen in studies that the antioxidant properties are generally more ascribed to CBD than THC in general. But they definitely both have them.
So if there's, I mean, it's probably a number of things, but let's just say, whatever comes to mind when you are doing your research, or when you're, going for a hike, or just super in your passion and in your, in the zone. And you're like, if only people knew this, and what would you want people to know about what we're doing and what you're learning and what you're putting out? I mean, obviously there's so much information, but if you can consolidate it enough to get somebody to care about it, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard for someone who doesn't know. I mean, for someone to just believe that it can fight cancer in a short amount of time, I don't expect people to do that in a way, but I wish people that would just be open. Start with like the epilepsy thing. It's like, 10 years ago, would you have thought that a compound from cannabis could be stopping seizures from conditions that literally no pharmaceutical could touch at all? And then, once people can realize that, like, obviously that's the case. CBD is now FDA approved for that exact purpose. It's like, clearly there can be a higher level healing effect from cannabinoids. That's been undeniably proven. Just open up to the possibility that, just like with epilepsy, the preclinical evidence that says CBD could help with epilepsy, that 100% panned out to be true. The same thing is the case with cancer. It really can fight cancer. Just like with epilepsy, it doesn't work perfectly. Some people need, it doesn't work they need to experiment to find the right combination that works, or it only works partially. It's not a perfect medicine, but it does work. It absolutely does work. Same with cancer. It doesn't work perfectly, but in many cases it can cause full remission or partial remission or very extended life. So once people accept that it can fight cancer, then I think that that'll trigger legalization throughout the world. I mean, how can you prohibit a cancer fighting plant? I mean, that I just think it's the fastest way for prohibition to fall. And yeah, also people knowing that both, the phytocannabinoids like THC and CBD and our own endocannabinoids like anandamide and 2-AG, that they also kill cancer cells also by activating cannabinoid receptors. It's easier to understand that phytocannabinoids are killing cancer cells in humans when we already have these cannabinoid compounds in us that are also showing the same effects. So yeah, I just really try to hammer those points a lot. There's definitely been a lot of progress, but going on over 13 years now, you always hope for more, but yeah, I mean, I'm just not going to give up until it's global. That's for sure.
Well, thank God. I definitely know of some people in some places in our world that are such sweet, good people, yet they would get arrested for talking about this, let alone wanting to, let alone helping themselves or somebody they love. And as we know here in America, we've lived that life. Although some countries, the penalty is much worse for very little. And so it's crazy to think that there's such backward places in the world, even here at home, that are completely unwilling to look at the science and to just understand how we are all designed this way to be people of cannabis in a way that we might not all need to smoke, we might not all need cannabis, but well, let me ask you this. Do you think that people who don't have life-threatening ailments may benefit from cannabis?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. I think if people, you can augment your endocannabinoid system using all kinds of other techniques like meditation, exercise, and other healing foods. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that probably more than 1 in 2 people could benefit from them. Yeah, more than half of the population almost easily. And then of course, people who are at risk of a lot of diseases, who have that in their family history, anybody with a family history of cancer, it would probably be wise to be on at least a few milligrams of CBD each day as a preventative, since there is a lot of strong evidence that it could have those chemo preventive effects. Yeah, most people could probably get some kind of benefit from it.
And cannabis is administratable in many forms, including in a protein form of food digestion, delivered in the hemp seed or the hemp nut as we know it. And I believe you just learned some information about that recently. Would you like to share anything in regards to hemp seeds?
Yeah, that's cool that I just saw that study recently and wrote a short article, but yeah, so the cannabinoids like, THC and the whatnot, those are all in the flower of cannabis. So the hemp seed doesn't have any cannabinoids in it, but indeed it's very well known for the protein constituents. It's marketed for as a high protein food a lot. But yeah, the researchers basically metabolize the proteins into smaller peptide forms and then administered those peptides to liver cancer cells and found that they were also killing the liver cancer cells in similar ways as cannabinoids, interestingly enough, because a big way that cannabinoids, especially CBD, kills cancer cells is by increasing the reactive oxygen species in the cancer cell. So we were talking about antioxidants earlier. Oxidants are really bad for healthy cells because they damage them. You want to use antioxidants. So CBD acts as an antioxidant to protect healthy cells, but with cancer, it's the exact opposite. It's increasing the oxidants in the cancer cells to kill them. So the CBD does that, and the hemp protein or the hemp peptides derived from hemp protein just naturally with enzymes just to make them smaller. But yeah, they were also showing to kill cancer. So that's really fascinating that, and if I'm not sure, the one thing that's not clear is whether the peptides that they used would be naturally created in your own digestive system, which they very well could because they were using the same enzymes that we do have in
It
our.
was in vitro. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but they so sorry why that keeps cutting out. I don't know why. I'm gonna move over a little bit and maybe this will help slightly.
The dance of life is better done with a smile.
Thank you. What was the last thing that you caught, I suppose, or that I was saying?
It was something along the lines of this. You froze. I I would love to tell you it was exact. I would love to tell you an exact quote, but I can't.
I can just run that over from the top.
Lovely.
Nice. So yeah, basically the study was using hemp protein, a derivative of hemp protein, where they just applied enzymes to the proteins to break it down into smaller peptides, applied those peptides to liver cancer cells and found that that it was killing the liver cancer cells. And the interesting thing was the mechanism that it was using was similar to what how CBD is shown to work. Since in CBD with cancer cells is shown to increase reactive oxygen species in those cells, which are oxidants that cause their destruction. And the hemp protein was doing the same thing. So that's quite interesting. But what's also interesting is that CBD and I guess the hemp protein too, because it didn't affect the liver cancer or the normal healthy cells. But like CBD is the complete opposite with healthy cells. It acts as an antioxidant to help protect healthy cells, but with cancer, it increases the oxidants in them in order to destroy it. So it's amazing that there's that intelligence of a way to differentiate when it needs to be destructive and when it needs to be protective. But yeah, the hemp protein thing is really fascinating that one day people could be taking cannabis oils and then eating hemp protein as a integrative, comprehensive cannabis therapy to help fight cancer.
Indeed, I see that as a dietary benefit in terms of healthy people. You know, I mean, what's a healthy person? Obviously, it's somebody who's in some sort of in balance, right? And they say that there's times in our lives where we have cancers building up that we wouldn't even know it, and so it's likely important in this way to eat good foods and make sure that we're uptaking nutrients in a good way, which is why probiotics are so important. And
Yes.
definitely in terms of having hydrated cells, I know for me, when utilizing cannabis, it dries me out in a bit, which is a good thing for, especially, let's say, preventing cancer. You don't want to have a whole lot of mucus building up in saliva building up in the body. So cannabis has that ability to really dry us out, which is why cottonmouth is a thing. Though once I started drinking significantly more water, I have so much more energy, and I'm just like, powering through the day. Whereas growing up, I was like a zombie, you know. And dry cells can't conduct energy. And I noticed that when I take enough oil, I have an incredible amount of energy, and so I'm noticing the intrinsic relationships between our diet and between our endocannabinoid system. And, for me, like, I know that my body, my brain benefits from balancing out with cannabis. And again, that may not be for everybody else, though. For somebody who feels healthier, it still could be a good consideration to research, hemp seed protein and getting in good nutrients in you that way is a good prophylactic. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm extremely passionate about nutrition. I think that a lot of problems would be resolved and even a lot of people, the funny thing is a lot of people who use cannabis medically, I mean, there's a subset who the problems they're dealing with could be as or even better alleviated by doing really significant nutritional changes and exercise and meditation. So that can either replace or I guess better yet work in tandem with cannabis. That's where real health comes in. If anybody who just relies only on cannabis, it's just not gonna keep you going for that long. You gotta, and I liked how you mentioned the water thing, because most people do not drink enough water. It just is very uncommons. Even I often have issues with it. So yeah, but when you do, even that one little step alone is so good for you. Yeah, I also like putting like camu berry in my water mixed with MSM, and then you get that hyper absorption of the vitamin C. That feels really great.
Nice. Well, here's to a blessed water break for a moment.
Oh, nice, nice. I actually moved my tea. I have a tea over here. That's one of my issues that I drink a lot of tea, but it's like not like black tea. It's all herbal tea, so it's still pretty hydrating.
Speaking of tea, Nicotine gave me some tea last night, and it was incredible. So shout out to Nicotine with that tea you gave me, bro. Incredible.
What was it?
It was like this vanilla almond tea. It was just incredible.
like with like plain, like you didn't have any like like milk or sweetener in it?
Let's see if
like...
I took a picture of it. I don't know if I took a picture of it, but no, it was completely raw, no sugar, honey, nothing, no milk.
Wow, and the flavor still like came out really strong.
It was incredible. Like I nearly abused him because I was like, yo, let me see that. Like there's gotta be sugar in it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, he was like, no. I said, it's too good. If I want more, that's bad. There's got to be something up with
it. Yeah. I get this. If I like taste something that's like natural and it tastes too good, I'm like, okay, there's either some sucralose in here or acetylsodium or something like.
Something. Who knows, man? But maybe they sprayed it with something. I don't know. But it's incredible.
But yeah, if they're using the right good vanilla extract, then
it must have been bean.
Yeah,
it was a
amazing.
tea. It was a tea bag. So it looked like solid pieces in there. So maybe who knows what they had in there, bro.
Yeah, maybe just some raw pieces of Madagascar vanilla root.
I feel like it would have said that because it said natural. This is where it really got me. It said natural flavor, like natural vanilla flavor and natural almond flavor. And I was like, bro, look, like this is BS.
Yeah, it's like stronger than the real thing, it sounds like.
I don't know, bro. I'm skeptical. It's suspect. It's too good.
That's good. You have a really good perspective on health. Like you got to be vigilant in this world because they'll try to trick you,
it's true.
Out there.
That leads me to the next thing. A lot of people are impressed by the focus that we discuss when they come to me for help, and they say, I've gone to doctors for 20 years and nobody's asked me what I eat or drink or what kind of water I'm drinking or what yada yada. And I'm just like, wow. Like that's the first thing that came to mind because you don't even need cannabis. All you need to do is stop doing this and start doing that. And I'm not saying that cannabis won't help you because it will support that. It'll especially support the transition, but you might find that later on down the road, you might need a tiny, insignificant, or, a minuscule amount of this and really just supporting yourself in a healthier way and in a smarter way, making better choices that actually benefit us, not just because we're associating with instant gratification, like, oh my God, this is going to taste amazing, but because we know that when we put it in our mouth, our belly's going to feel like it's going to make us feel like $1 million. So all of a sudden, the stuff that before tasted terrible now is like, give me more, and our body asks for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then the things that like were once really alluring, like a nice donut, like become repulsive.
Oh man.
It's amazing how that can like completely switch from like, oh my God, that looks so amazing to oh my God, that looks terrible. Like
you're right. Like because you know immediately what it's gonna do to you. You know what I'm saying? Like and at the same time, like when I have one morsel of sugar in me, it calls out to its friends. If they're not in there, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't agree with having it. Like, obviously we're human. We want, some of us want to celebrate sometimes with a sweet or something like that. And I don't even know if I want to use the term guilty though. I definitely, I love sweets. And so it's important for me to remember take enough probiotics, take enough CBD. So I'm burning a lot of sugar and I'm eating all these sugar cells in me so that I'm balancing it out. And at the same time, when I'm truly being mindful, I'm checking all the ingredients. I'm actually making sure not to eat sugar. I'm not going after the drive, because if I have a little bit of bread or a little bit of sugar, I'm gonna want more and more and more.
It's the same way I am. Like whenever I like make an exception, I'm like, it kind of like I make like a big exception.
What's up, Pop? I can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so much easier to like avoid for the most part. But then like if you do make those big exceptions, like rarely, like it's like pretty rare for me, like that I'll eat like some kind of bread or like actual processed cane sugar. So, and then like yeah, it's good that you're doing, even during those days you eat good things around it, take like some cinnamon for blood sugar control, eat a lot of greens for the blood sugar control, probiotics, and then also exercise a little bit, like at least put that sugar to good use, like then it's far less harmful if you actually utilize it properly.
Yo, people are laughing, but I'm gonna show you. Recently, I've been going to this doctor who practices Chinese medicine, and
Nice.
he's from China. He's a wizard, right? And if you ever come to Boulder and you want some ridiculous acupuncture, like let me
Ooh.
know, and you can see this man. And he has got the illest library of Chinese supplements. I don't want to get him in trouble, though. You get some tea from him, and there's like 15 different things in it, and they're incredible. Though anyway, he told me for me because I was having, back pain, and I went there for my back. He put some needles in my knees, in the back of my legs, and he's like, "All right, walk around." And my back, it was laughable how much relief I had. Though he told me like, do this 1,000 times a day, and I laughed in his face. I was like, 1,000 times would be nuts, because at that time I couldn't even do 20 or 30 of them. It was like, all right, I'm done. And now I do a lot of them, but really I realized that if I do it a little bit after I eat, I burp almost immediately. Like within like 10 or 20 of them, I start burping. And then I started realizing like, okay, like this is truly actually helping get my metabolism moving. And, how often am I just sitting around working all day long? And I might be walking in a tiny little area in an office space or something like that, or just sitting on a computer. And so if I'm just getting a little bit of work in, my digestive system is moving and I feel so much better. And so I started telling that to my clients. I'm like, listen, just do it tiny bit. Cause I tell people dance to one song a day, and not everybody's going to do that all the time. And not everybody's going to do this all the time. But once you start feeling some relief, you're like, all right, there's something to that, and a little bit of movement. I'm glad you brought up exercise, because that's what Guerrilla Healer is all about: diet, healthcare, and lifestyle. And I believe these are the three pillars of
Yes.
existence, because how we live our life affects the quality of our life. The diet, what we eat and drink, what we put in our bodies affect us and affects our healthcare. It's all related, and so having somebody like you on here for me is just a field day. It's like a field trip, because I just, you're such a wealth of information, just because of like I said, what you love and what you've been paying attention to. And so, the Justin Kander and the rainbow helps us see more of ourselves.
Nice. I appreciate that. I definitely would love to help inspire people to take more healthy steps. And like you said about doing like small bits of exercise, I was looking into that recently, and yeah, like research shows that even small bits of 5 to 10 minute decent exercise workout throughout the day is really good for your metabolism and health overall. And yeah, so people don't, if they're like, oh, I can't go for 30 minutes or an hour to the gym, I'm just not going to do anything. It's much, you can still break it down throughout the day and still get massive benefits. Really easy, simple things that you can do. Yeah, like that exercise you did, and like qigong, like you can do like this gets your chest really good. I do that a lot.
Thank
Yeah,
you for bringing up qigong. I definitely want to get more into that. I'm always thinking about
yeah, well, this is a good sign.
it.
Yeah, there's like a couple exercises that are in my daily routine, and yeah, it gets your heart rate up and just keeps your energy just really good. I think that like I learned about it at a cancer event actually, and yeah, I think that there something about moving your energies, or just the blood flow and all the good stuff that happens from those motions could also probably be a good part of integrative cancer therapy.
Yeah, if we're a body full of energy, then energy is constantly in a state of flow. Is that something I just made up, or no?
No, well, yeah, I mean, well, what the Qigong guy was explaining, is like your energy gets trapped and, stagnant in places, and that corresponds to where cancers emerge. So yeah, you need a good flow. So by doing the exercises that get the flow going, you break up those stagnations, and it helps break the tumor down, is how the theory goes.
And if we break that down to like, what's above, so below, then we can consider to potentiate cell communication is the pinpoint of, I was just talking about this with my boy Jay Glaze, it's the pinpoint of the window of opportunity where that communication is going to take place, and how that happens is so important because it affects the chain of everything else in life from now on. And so if we're able, if there's an obstruction of communication, then the body's not able to do what it's supposed to do. So the cells need to be able to communicate in order for this to take place, and for information to be able to travel, and then application to happen. And so it's all about flow.
Yeah, it really is. Like, you can feel even those like kind of esoteric things, like anybody can feel, like when you really get into a deep practice that's designed to, meditation or those kinds of yogic practices that are meant to stimulate and balance and yet drive the proper flow of your energies. There's definitely some amazing things that happen. Like, I actually went pretty hard with my friend the past couple of nights, like doing some yoga and high intensity interval training. Like, and yeah, like when you're really pushing yourself beyond what you think your limit is, like there's like some energy flow stuff that's hard to describe. There's like some spirituality there, that's for sure.
Yeah, yes, I have witnessed this, and I have felt this in certain ways, and I see how important breath work is. And I was just talking to my mother about this yesterday. I grew up breathing through my mouth, and I've learned that is associated with a more anxious state of being, which really resembles how I grew up. And so learning to breathe through my nose has been really helpful for my focus and for my state of being calmer. And finding out that like short breaths through the mouth, that literally sends us, and it doesn't have to be that extreme, but that sends us into a state of stress, whereas longer drawn breaths send us into a state of ease. So the difference between ease, or let's say what's the opposite of ease? Dis-ease. And so if we're staying in a state of ease, we're allowing more blood to flow better. We're allowing the flow to take place in a better way, right? And so I feel calmer, and I feel like I'm more alive, and I'm able to take in more oxygen, and it all feels so related, which is one of the reasons why I'm so intrigued by Qigong, because when I saw that at this center in New Mexico, man, this guy was full of so much peace and light, and to see like him working with energy, which is what we are. We're vibrational beings. So when we learn to tap into this force field that we are a part of, wow, it's amazing. What do you have any insight if somebody wanted to look into Qigong, that you said you have a practice? Perhaps you can tell somebody how to look into it.
Well, there's a lot of videos. Just searching it on YouTube would definitely give a lot of amazing information right there. I just learned from, I don't remember the instructor's name, but he was with like the Blue Dragon Qigong Academy, I believe based in Florida. But yeah, I mean, just that one, I've just been doing the instructions that he gave from there when I learned, and that's it's not like my main thing that I do, so I haven't gotten really deeply into it, but just the couple exercises that I learned there have been so helpful in the general practices of other yoga, exercise, and taekwondo related training.
Awesome. Well, it's been really fun catching up with you. I wonder if there's anything else that I kind of already asked you the question before, if there's anything that you would want people to know, though I'll give you another chance, while we're here and while people are tuning in. First, before, well, you can do this at the same time. Definitely shout out your books and where to get them, and how to stay in touch with you and connect with you. And, so please touch on that, as well as taking the opportunity with the floor to just say anything else supportive of your interests and why you do what you do in the world. And yeah, thank you.
Nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, so to start out, the number one thing is my book on cannabis cancer and cancer is available at freecannabiscancerbook.com. And then the other one, the comprehensive report on the cannabis extract movement, is at cannabisextractreport.com. And I also have them available at buycannabisbooks.com, which is where I sell them if someone wants to pay, but there's still free download links there as well. So they're still free. But that has like a couple other books that I've written too, about the endocannabinoid system. And yeah, then there's cannabisdeclaration.com. So it's the Cannabis for Cancer Declaration, where I've gathered over 30 medical professionals who agree cannabis can fight cancer in at least some cases. So there's a lot of great information summarized there, and it's a good way to see and to show others that there really is a lot of medical support for this application of medical cannabis, and it's not, a super fringe thing. So that's really good for helping understand the legitimacy of this. And yeah, I mean, my other message is just always try to go harder with nutrition, exercise, and meditation. If anything is not good in your life, then having better nutrition, more exercise, or more meditation, or deeper, deeper meditation or exercise, that a lot of problems can be greatly alleviated with those practices. I mean, no one's going to solve every single problem they have. We'll never solve the problems in our lives 100%. It just won't happen. But by doing these nutritional practices, you're in a far, far better mindset and physical state to challenge them. So yeah, that's the way to go.
Beautiful. Well, definitely, if you're watching this or you're listening to this, please consider going to Justin's websites and buying his books. He's done so much work into researching this for us to benefit, and it's so worth it. Even if you get the free ones and then you're like, wow, this guy really is going to be well served with a little more fuel to keep going. Let's support Justin Kander and his efforts to help educate the world about this sacred plant. And Justin, thank you so much. Really, you're a true gem. I look forward to connecting with you more. And in any way that I or Guerrilla Healer can support your efforts, I feel called to do this immensely. I feel like we're so aligned in our goals to just help illuminate us and our world. And I salute you.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. This was a really great podcast. Probably one of the best that I've done, because we got
Wow.
like more than cannabis and stuff. Like I'm like, my passions for other, those other natural healing things have increased a lot in the past couple of years. So I really like talking about that in addition to cannabis stuff. So I appreciate that opportunity, and that you're so passionate about it as well, because it's critical for our world.
My pleasure. I was getting into this earlier, though I got a little sidetracked. I was saying I tend to impress people when they hit me up talking about what kind of cannabis oil can they get, or how much can they get. And I said impress people. Sometimes I piss people off, because I'm like, all right, you came to me for cannabis, but I want to talk to you about what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're doing day to day. And they're like, I didn't come to you for all this. And I'm like, all right, well, I want to help you.
Uh-huh.
I'm not here to just take your money. I can, like, we could put a Band-Aid every single time you want to put a Band-Aid on it, but you're going to have to keep putting a Band-Aid on it, and it's going to get worse and worse over time.
Uh-huh.
And, it's like people go, this other consideration, or this other side of medical cannabis, where somebody's going to do a dispensary for help, and they're coming out with a freaking brownie for cancer.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, let me just have a little bit of counterproductivity over here, so that I can, and who am I to say that that's not going to help somebody? So I'm not here to tell you it's not going to work. I'm just going to I'm here to tell you that kind of stuff pisses me off, because I don't feed sugar to people with cancer. I just won't do it, which is why you don't see gummies on my page or other edibles on my page, even though I want to give you a tasty and healthy option. I'd rather say, here's this capsule, take it. Or
or
here's
like
this
an
capsule,
infused oil.
I take it. What'd you say?
an infused olive oil, I mean, that's like one of the best delivery mechanisms because it's more precise than an edible can ever be, more standardized, better delivery mechanism. I mean, some people can't tolerate the taste, but like, yeah, then you have capsules. It's like
Olive's
edibles,
tough, yeah.
edibles for the vast majority of people. I mean, especially the vast majority of people with serious diseases, I just don't think is the way to go.
It's if you have a clean oil and you're infusing your healthy foods, cool. I don't think that's necessary. I think it's necessary to, depending on what's going on, to vary your administrations, which means like, God forbid I'm in a situation where I have, let's just say person X has cancer, and you know and let's say it's metastasizing in different parts of the body. In that way, I'd probably want to ingest it if it was me, and I'd probably want to consider doing some sort of suppository method so it can get into my bloodstream in another way. So I'm hitting the body from different angles. If it's protruding through the skin, I might want to address it topically. I might want to go sublingually, so it might go to my brain so I can get, quicker blood-brain barrier registration that way as well. And there's so many different ways I might go about it. And it's like, I think it's important for people to know that one size doesn't fit all. When we put up an umbrella to say what would help everybody who doesn't fit under the umbrella gets wet. And in this case, when we're talking about health, it's it's life we're talking about. So it's really precious. And so, when somebody comes to me for an oil and I'm talking to them about diet, I tend to lose a lot of clients because of that. And I said, I'm okay with that. Like, I want to do the real work. And when somebody comes to me and they want to do the real work, what a pleasure. And I also want to help the people that don't want to do the real work. At the same time, I've enabled so many people by giving out free oil for years. I realized that I need to invest in me in order for me to get ahead. And if I'm not going to do that and I accept something free from you, well, then it might help me for a little bit, but I'm just going to keep making the same choices that got me here in the first place. So I really need to make these choices myself.
Yeah, that's the right perspective. It's hard to know how to help people to the best ways, but yeah, doing whatever you can to get people invested in their own health and convincing them to open up to what they need to do for the long term. It can be challenging, as you've clearly seen, but it's worth it than just passing over it.
Yeah, with less of a healthy diet, we have less of a reason to care because we're more disassociated from our soul and from ourselves. And so we're ultimately just, in this stuck to the matrix. It's like we're holding on to this electric cord and we're like, and finally when we let go long enough, we're like, wow, what's going on over there? And so yeah, any reason to care, I feel like that's what we're looking for. So here's to supporting sovereignty, empowering our individual ability to respond to our abilities to research. And this means being responsible individuals, knowing what we're supporting with our money, whether it be crypto or dollars or whatever kind of money it is, knowing what we're supporting because we vote with our dollar. And if I give my money to a company that's feeding us chemicals and poison, well, then I am voting for that to stay around. And I'm voting for the supermarket down the street to carry 90% of things that are called food that don't fit the definition. So it's up to me to and us to heal ourselves so we can heal the world. And that's what sovereignty is all about, and why I'm so just grateful for you giving out all this information so that people can get a hold of it themselves and make educated choices. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, we're anyone who's like promoting this kind of lifestyle is definitely, we're all on a team together to try to make sure that this world goes down the right path. We might not have as much of like the sweet cakes, but there's a greater sweetness to be had.
Hey, when you can feel this smile for yourself in your own body, then you know that's sweetness. And what's a cake when you are the cake? We are the light. They say
That's a good one.
it's like, well, look in the
Who
mirror.
needs a cake when you are the cake? I'll have to keep that one in mind.
Yes, sir. Well, once again, salute, and I look forward to doing this again. May we have more conversations in good ways.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was a great time. Thank you so much for having me.
Honored. Keep up the amazing work. And as we say, lots of haslacha.
Thank you.
Be well, brother.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And or I'll say till the next time. And for more information, check out FarmsNotPharms.org to check out all of the episodes. And you can also subscribe to Farms Not Farms podcast on Spotify or Apple Music. Thank you, and love. And we're going to end on a deep breath, as we typically do. So feel free to join in. Not too hard, not too quick. I noticed that when I take a really hard breath, it's like, I find that makes me feel a little more stressed. So I take nice, easy breaths. So I'll do it one more time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're out. Love.